My long-awaited book, Astrology Realized, is finally available and waiting for you at Amazon and other online retailers. Get one for you, your loved one, or as a gift. All part of your fabulous journey to understanding astrology. Enjoy. Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to another episode of Synchronicity. I am your host, Nadia Shaw, and this is your moment of synchronicity. And I am here once again with Samuel Reynolds, horoscope writer for Ebony magazine, and just all around really fabulous guy. Hi, Samuel, again.
Hey, Nadia, how are you?
I'm real. Of course, all the time, anytime. You have an open invitation. So what's been happening with you in the last year where it comes to astrology? I've seen you grow tremendously online, and especially with your work with Ebony magazine. So what have you noticed about your own craft and your own astrology growing and the impact you've been making?
Well, it's been really interesting to write the weekly horoscopes. We're back to a weekly. For a little bit, we were only to a monthly. And then we went back to the weekly, I think, in March. And it's been really good just to really reconnect. I think the writing has gotten stronger. I feel connected more to the astrology. There's more opportunities to teach and counsel people in terms of astrology. Things have been taking off in terms of the Twitter account because I make it a point. Actually, Ebony has done something very interesting. At the start of every sign, now through the actual Ebony Mag account, that's at Ebony Mag, we actually tweet. I have a series of tweets where I talk about the sign of the month. And so, like, they allow me to have some 90 tweets on that account and to talk about astrology. And so it's been generating more buzz and at the same time educating people about astrology and reaching a population that's been underserved with astrology. So that's really been good.
And so what do you mean, a population that's been underserved? Do you mean the African-American community?
African-American community, actually, it's both been underserved, but during a Harris poll some 12 years ago, African Americans had like the higher numbers of people who believed in astrology. So I think that was something like 40%. And I think that's significant in terms of the number of people who really could believe in astrology, and not having the outlets or not having people actually speaking, I won't say to them, but reaching them. So there's a lot of prohibitions from within the African-American community about astrology from religious point of view, sometimes scientific, but there are a lot of people who are very much into it. And so it's just a matter of having access. So Ebony is one traditional stream that now is giving real astrology. Essence actually had an astrologer for a number of years, Aisha Grice, who is very well tutored in astrology, but that went off the rails with Essence, and now they have someone else. But I don't think they have a strong online presence, so it's not reaching people where they are. So, yeah.
And so what about the people you're interacting with? What kind of feedback are you getting with these? Because I watch some of your conversations sometimes, and they're always fascinating.
Well, I have a range. I mean, I used to, it looks like 2012 was a big year for engaging skeptics. 2013 has been more about people who are willing to believe and who are a little more excited about engaging astrology. More people interested either in consultations or at least asking more pointed questions, getting books. Another great astrologer who's on there, Sagittarian Mind, Jason. Maybe he'll get on your show one day. We'll get him to one of these conferences. But Jason Fleming-Eel, he also has been educating more people about astrology. So there's a critical mass of people who are gathering on Twitter and Facebook, but more so on Twitter where we're reaching a greater number of people. Because one thing that's interesting about Twitter versus Facebook, you can actually start following someone without having them accept your friend request or putting out a friend request. So that's been really good, you know, in terms of keeping things open and connected.
So what's ahead? What are you looking forward to in terms of your practice, in terms of your impact, in terms of just how you are contributing so much to different communities? You're contributing to the New York community, contributing to the African American community. Now, I'm a South Asian woman, and it's very rare to see a South Asian woman practice astrology.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then you add to that, I practice Western astrology. So I'm often asked to explain why Western astrology. And at the same time, I can't say I'm a spokesperson for all of the South Asian community, right?
Absolutely.
But you are part of so many different communities. And so what do you see, how do you see it evolving? How do you see these different communities growing?
Well, one thing that I've gotten on a couple boards in the last year. So I'm now on the board for the Astrology News Service, which is charged by at least 4 different astrological organizations in promoting an understanding of astrology to the general public and to the media. And I've also been newly placed on the International Society for Astrological Research, ISAR. I've been put on their board of directors. So what I'm doing with that is expanding our reach in terms of social media. So we have a couple webinars coming up, and we have a big conference that's going to be at a Native American reservation in September of 2014. So we're really excited about that. We're gearing up for that. So we're reaching even newer populations. That's my big thing, to kind of not spread the gospel of astrology. You know, I am an ex-preacher, but I do believe in spreading the idea and getting people thinking about astrology, especially in terms of communities that are not represented, including like the South Asian community. As much as you want to talk about being like one of the few women, there aren't a lot of black women here either. And there are a growing number of Latino women, but we would like to see more Asians. Like right now, Giselle Terry, who actually is the president of the board of directors for ISAR, she's actually in China. So we're looking to expand more in terms of our reach in China. So I think my big thing, now that you've asked, is education. Reach, outreach.
You know, and I know for a fact, I'm sure of this, because astrology is everywhere. It has been a part of every culture, past, present, and likely will be in the future as well. And so there are practitioners, lots of female practitioners of every culture, lots of practitioners, period. But it's about joining the community. It's about connecting and
getting them out. I mean, like, I think that's the key thing. Like you're saying, like, there are definitely women practitioners of all stripes and colors, but we don't necessarily see them represented at places like this. Like, I would love to see, you know, someone other than Camila Sutton who's representing the Asian community teaching about astrology. But I can't think of it. Can you think of someone else who's teaching astrology other than Camila?
not off the top of my head.
Well, neither can I. So it would be nice to see more of that happening.
And if you are one of those people that you feel you are underrepresented, reach out to us, put a
Buddy, come out.
Yes, come out to the community. It would be so great. And it isn't just specifically because of your cultural background. It's because all of those experiences and how you start in astrology, nothing exists in a vacuum, and it's connected to communities. I know a little bit later I'm going to be speaking to someone who practices Vedic astrology, and there are a lot of Vedic astrologers I know who are not of South Asian origin, but they practice the astrology and they have a really great perspective on that tradition.
For the culture, right. So, I mean, like Ronnie Gale Dreyer actually just got a degree in Sanskrit at New York, and she's been to India, so, you know, there's lots of different people who are immersed in the cultures.
And I love that we are now in a place, like, collectively or individually as well, where we're not limited by our bodies in a sense, right? Our cultural identity is not just skin deep, but we can trust whatever culture or language calls to us, and we can either go there or commune with it in whatever way is right for us.
Absolutely. That's exactly right.
And for astrology, I really believe that practicing astrology connects me to every culture, past and present.
Right, exactly. And that's the key thing. And that's why I want to see more representation, because it's not so much about an affirmative action or just having like the speckling of different color and feeling like that becomes the truth. It's reflective of how astrology really is a global enterprise. You know, it's not, when people say about astrology, like, well, do you believe in astrology? Like, which forms of astrology? I mean, like, there's Aztec astrology, there's Chinese astrology, there's Vedic astrology. Then there's an indigenous astrology that comes from Africa. There's an indigenous astrology that's in the Polynesian islands. There's all forms of astrology, and we would love to have more of that gathering.
Love to see people actually pick up a lot of those other astrological forms that are more localized to educate everyone else on that.
Absolutely. Right.
Samuel, thank you so much.
Yeah, this is great. You know, I want to thank you for doing this. because I don't think anyone's doing this in the community quite like you are, going to conferences and expanding. Like, you got your banner up. Y'all have to see her hookup. You can't see the hookup because it's the only way in which actually we're filming, but she's streamlining and making it happen. So, good job.
Thank you, Samuel. You've been there for quite a while, a part of my life, but part of the whole astrological community, and I'm just so grateful for you being a part of my growth as an astrologer.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
And thank you so much for being here to celebrate Samuel Reynolds with me. Until we connect again, take care.